Hello everyone. I'm super excited to talk today in Ireland. Actually, it's my first time in Dublin, so really nice start so far. And thanks for the intro, Judith. You already see nukes on your places, so I will not go into this right now. But I have been digging into the cycle thinking, business, industry, and hopefully what I'm telling you today will change completely how you see your period, or for the ones in the room who haven't a period, how you see the period of the woman in your life. But before we are going into this, let me start with my very personal own story. I used to faint from my period pain. I used to throw up, and you might now think like, oh my God, okay, that's crazy. That's probably the only woman in the room that has experienced that. Let me tell you, no, I'm not. Probably I'm not. And the really bad thing about it is not even that I had this bad pain, but I thought it's normal. My mom used to have the same issues, so I was like, okay, probably pain is being part of a woman. So I popped every single month 800 ibuprofens, and everyone who took ibuprofen in the morning 800, and then through the whole day, you can imagine how good I was then performing on this day, on like work, but also in my social life. But period pain and my story is just a very tiny piece of a way bigger picture. And I want everyone now to stand up, please. So I will read now a few symptoms, and I want everyone who has experienced that or had a woman in their lives experience similar things to sit down. It's for me very important because like this is a medical condition. It's very important for me that you don't need to, while I'm saying it, right away to sit down, but sit down when you feel comfortable to doing so. But it would be nice to just at some point, if you experience of these, or if someone in your life has experienced this, to sit down. Hormonal acne or skin changes throughout your cycle. Bloating, digestive issues, unintentional weight fluctuations, chronic fatigue, low energy, mood swings, anxiety, irritability, irregular cycles, heavy periods, painful periods, headaches, migraines, sleep disruptions, hair thinning, infertility. So you now see you're not alone with this, and actually almost everyone in this room is sitting. Let that sink for a moment. And still, when I'm talking to people, every time I hear I'm working in a niche. Isn't that funny? All these symptoms are symptoms, but often they are linked. They are linked to hormonal imbalances that, like so many, suffer. But hey, we have social media, right? So the cycle thinking health coaches, amazing. They will tell us to eat in every cycle, in every cycle phase the right thing. They will let us know when to train, what to train, only yoga during your period. You can run during your follicular phase the time after your period. And apparently you need to ask the moon before your breakfast. So we heard things like seed cycling, cycle-based fasting, specific workouts through phases, detailed eating plans, books promising the wild hormone hacks, influencers creating sheets, when to eat, what to eat, perfect plans, protocol. It's everywhere, and it's a big business. But what when I'm telling you that actually only 6% of performance studies are studies based on females only? So while most female athletes would tell you like, yeah, my performance is influenced by my cycle. Science actually doesn't back this. And the thing is, like, the whole cycle thinking advice normally doesn't come from scientists, but from wellness influencers. And all these studies that are there are then mainly based on research that has been done on men. But what we do see in the performance research is actually that only 7 out of 24 studies found any performance reduction related to the menstrual cycle. Anaerobic performance, so like think sprinting, jumping, not affected in 13 of 16 studies. Aerobic performance, like endurance work, not affected in 70% of studies. Strength performance not affected in 50% of studies. So what does this mean now for you? So I think the most important thing is, like, cycle-based training might help, probably it won't, but the bottom line is you don't need to avoid the gym on your period. But, and I think that is like the most important thing to emphasize here, is like listen to your body and do what actually feels good. Because we don't have the research yet, we don't know. So I can't tell you like the cycle doesn't have an effect, but we don't know today. And I think that is super important, because also I see so many women that are completely confused and say like, actually I would like to go to run, but I'm on my period and Instagram said I'm not allowed to. So just skip that. But as Judith already mentioned, my favorite topic obviously is nutrition. And I don't know who of the women maybe in the room felt like ever like this and like these crazy chocolate cravings, or like not only chocolate but also like fast food, like, and these cravings are real, and actually here science back you. Cravings do increase in the luteal phase. So the luteal phase is 2 weeks before your cycle. It does increase your cravings. Actually, brain imaging studies show that your brain responds in that time more strongly to high caloric food. And then when I'm having one-on-one nutrition talks or like consultations, there's this one question I always get asked. Do I actually burn more calories during that time? So am I allowed to have that chocolate bar? So first of all, you always are allowed to have that chocolate bar, to just get that straight. The answer is a bit yes and no. So some research suggests that we burn around 90 to 100 extra calories per day in that phase. However, the findings are not really consistent, and it's really, really individual. But also here again, like, listen to the cravings of your body. Normally a craving also, and that is not particular only in the luteal phase, but if you have a craving, your body normally wants to tell you something, and that it wants some micronutrients. So for example, in chocolate, we have like a lot of magnesium. So probably your body wants some magnesium in that time. So, and then another thing that also a lot of women experience are actually that our weight is fluctuating through this time, right? And that is completely normal, because our body actually has like more fluid retention before our period. So that doesn't help us so much now with like what social media tells us. So should we now like do cycle thinking, and like should we now eat like completely in line with our cycle? I mean, I have a cycle-based supplement, so probably I will now tell you, yeah, you must. But the question is actually yes and no again. So also here a bit my personal story. When I was in my previous job, and which was like a managing position in one of like the big billion startups, I was so stressed that my micronutrients, they would just go straight to my stress hormones. And actually our survival hormones need the same micronutrients than our sex hormones. So if we are under high stress, if we're in an environment where we just need that extra support, then we need specific micronutrients. And it's the first part is actually to give our body what it needs. And that I would like to explain now on the cycle with you. So first of all, before we are going into like the crazy Instagram cycle thinking, we should think about what is a baseline foundation. And you can actually imagine it like a house, right? So our nutrition is our house, and we first need to build the house, and then we decorate it per season. So that is always how I like to describe it. So we first need to have a good baseline formula with good nutrition. And I'm not talking supplements yet, I'm really talking food. We need to have like a balanced meal as a baseline, and this includes all macronutrients like fats, healthy fats, carbs, and protein. Protein is super, super important for women. And then we need to look into the daily essential micronutrients. So B vitamins will support your hormones, vitamin E, D, and K will support your nervous system, but also cells, immune system. That's, by the way, also important for men. Myoinositol, super interesting for everyone who has PCOS, so polycystic ovary syndrome, as it supports ovulation, but also like egg quality. And actually it did show, so metformin, I'm not sure who knows what metformin is, but metformin is a medication that a lot of women take when they're insulin resistant for PCO, and like studies have shown that actually myoinositol does have a similar effect on PCO like myoinositol, but without the side effects. So I think that's always a really good starting point when it comes to PCO, if you can get rid of it. And then also alpha-lipoic acid in that sense is also really nice if you combine it with myoinositol, and L-tryptophan, which is a precursor of our serotonin, our happy hormone. So with this, we have now the house. And then we go through the different phases. So we start with our menstrual phase. In our menstrual phase, we are losing blood. So we are also losing our iron levels. So these iron levels we want to restore with an iron bisglycinate. Why an iron bisglycinate and not just a normal iron that you can get in like every drugstore? The important thing here is like bioavailability, and that it actually is nice on your digestive system. If you pop iron oxide and so on, you will feel it and you will not feel great. And then we combine it with a high quality vitamin C, because the iron needs a vitamin C to actually get absorbed, and the vitamin A to be metabolized. And then we go after the menstruation, where we want to support our natural fertility with micronutrients like zinc, selenium, coenzyme Q10, and also omega-3 fatty acids. So omega-3 fatty acids is always a thing. Like if you're eating 2 to 3 times a week fish, you're probably good, you don't need to supplement it. If that is not the case for you, probably your ratio, because we are just eating on a regular basis so many omega-6 fatty acids, probably your ratio is off, and I would recommend to really look into your omega-3, because it supports inflammation and fertility, but also overall health. And then in the luteal phase, that again is a time where we do feel this PMS symptoms, hormonal acne, mood swings, and so on. There we want to support, we anyway already support the whole cycle through vitamin B6, which regulates the hormone, the L-tryptophan, which is our like supporting our serotonin, but then magnesium and calcium also can support the PMS symptoms. And especially the magnesium, for everyone who suffers from period cramps like I did, is really interesting, because magnesium actually supports muscle cramps, and if you then take it 2 weeks before your period, you actually have less cramps in your period. Very important to say, because nutrition is great, but it's also not a magic tool, right? So if you suffer from endometriosis and so on, it's very important for me to say you will not heal an endometriosis with nutrition or supplements or anything like that, but it could maybe support these symptoms. So now, what's your takeaway? There is a lot of advice out there, and there will be more advice probably coming up. But the one, or like the 2 key questions that I, from this day on, I always want you to ask, if anyone tells you, even me, like, is this backed by science that is actually done on women? And does it feel right in my own body? Because your body is the best guidance you can have. Thank you.